Hi class, I am Savannah Massey, and I want to start this post by saying that I apologize for posting it so late in the evening. Murphy's Law has been in full effect for me the past few days regarding this post, amongst other things. But tonight, the post I want to talk about is nonverbal communication, and also 4 strategies of nonverbal communication and some ways to improve these strategies and types of nonverbal communication. So first I want to quote from the book. The definition of a nonverbal message is going to consist of such things as movements, gestures, body positions, vocal qualities, and a variety of unspoken signals sent by people, often in conjunction with verbal messages. So the first one I'm going to talk about is going to be body language. That is going to be, we'll start with eye contact. So we've heard in the book also states that the eyes are the window to the soul. And so the first thing we can talk about is direct eye contact. It's going to send a message, or lack of direct eye contact could send a message of a lack of interest, confidence, trust, and dishonesty. And direct eye contact can send the message of the opposite. The size of your pupils also is another indicator. If a customer is interested, their pupils are going to dilate. So one way we can get better at that is just going to be to focus on our eye contact and making sure that we are looking at the customer. The second thing we can talk about is going to be facial expression. Facial expressions, we know, depending on if we look happy or sad, they can show excitement, concern, dismay. And the text also discusses that even though typically we associate a smile with positivity, sometimes it can't be bad. It can be bad. And the example that the book uses is, like, say you smile at someone's wife and tell them they look nice today while their husband is there, then their husband might take that as a negative body language, talking to his wife that way. So being mindful of your facial expressions can really show nonverbal communication. Next, we'll talk about posture, and that is going to be if your posture is formal, rigid, relaxed, slouched, awkward, defensive. Your posture can say a lot of things. So we want to focus on standing or sitting with confidence. One thing you can work on also is leaning forward and smiling. This signals that you're interested as well. The peer-reviewed article that I found mentioned standing up straight also. Uncrossing your arms, maintaining eye contact, which we just talked about, are some great examples of this. And it's going to also portray to your customers that they're in caring and capable hands when you look confident. Next, we could talk about nodding your head in agreement shows that you're listening. And also hand gestures. A lot of us have a habit of talking with our hands, and that also includes your head, your hand, your arms, shoulders. All of these accentuate verbal messages, and sometimes they can add color and excitement to the conversation. However, you don't want to overdo it because it can be distracting. So I think the goal here to improve on that is going to make your gestures seem natural. Don't overdo it, but don't just stand there slouched. Next thing we can talk about is going to be verbal cues. This is going to consist of your volume, your rate of speech, voice quality, articulation, pauses, silence. All of these things are factors in nonverbal communication. So with volume, changes in your volume can indicate emotion. It can send a negative message to the customer if you are too loud, or might make you seem angry or upset. Also, though, if you speak too softly, the customer could have issues hearing you, and also might make you sound not so confident. Your rate of speech, if you talk too slow or too fast, it can cause a distraction and also a loss of message effectiveness and comprehension, because they're trying to either keep up with what you're saying or you're talking too slow, and so they're not able to put the sentences together. Voice quality is going to be the next one, and this can also encourage customers to listen. If you sound pleasant and you accompany by a smile, if you sound angry, the quality of your voice is shaky or angry, then it can send a negative effect. Articulation is a clarity of word usage. Don't use slang. We are in the South, so we might have a habit of doing that, some of us, but the example I'm going to use is "Eat yet?" Meaning did you eat yet? But if you don't say that clearly to people who aren't familiar with this slang, they may not understand, and that could be a lack of communication. So the goal there is going to be to think about what you're saying and don't use slang. Pauses is the next thing. It's positive. Positives can be positive because it's going to allow the customer to reflect on what you said and be able to think about it. But if you pause for too long, it might show doubt or maybe that you're lying and trying to come up with the next lie if you pause for too long. And then also silence and semantics are your word choice. That's going to be another thing to keep in mind when you're paying attention to your non-verbal communication. The third thing that I'm going to talk about is your appearance and your grooming. Your appearance can either send a message of professionalism or indifference. The customer typically is going to make a judgment on the company or your business within 30 seconds. And this is going to include your hygiene, your clothing, your scent. If you are dressed professional, then it's going to give more professional vibe as to if you have ripped jeans or dirty clothes or maybe smell foul. That's going to give them a negative first impression of your business. So the goal here to improve that is going to be to really focus on what your end goal is and also the type of business you're in. I think several of us have heard that you should dress for the position you would like to have in your business. So if you're working to promote to that next level up, you want to have the appearance that you're able to hold that position. And the fourth thing that I was going to talk about was going to be your distance. Each culture has a different view on what is an appropriate distance to stand from someone, but the book discusses that a typical rule of thumb is going to be 0 to 18 inches is going to be good for family or close relationships. They often allow us to be a little bit closer to them. 18 inches to 4 feet is going to be a personal distance, so maybe your friends. And then social and work distance is going to be 4 to 12 feet when you're standing and speaking to someone. You don't want to be too close because that can make them feel uncomfortable. So the goal there to work on that and improve those skills is just to be mindful. That's really going to fix many of these nonverbal communication skills, is just to be mindful and really think about how you look and how the customer may portray you. Going off of your nonverbal communication skills. So I hope you guys got a good understanding of nonverbal communication with these 4 different aspects. And I am curious to see your thoughts and how you may think that you can improve some of these skills, or maybe some examples of nonverbal communication and when it has been positive or negative for you. So thanks for listening. I'll post the link to my peer-reviewed article below, and I look forward to your discussion. Thanks.